Welcome
to the Bring Me to Life podcast.
It's time to wake up
and shine on.
Welcome to the Bring Me to Life podcast. This is episode 184. We're talking about alchemizing pain with creativity. I am Silamon, joined by my partner, Shannon Choyne.
What up, light beings? I hope you are waking up and shining on with us and having a good time wherever you are. And if you're not, that's okay, because that's what we're going to talk about, is working through the pain and the chaos of the current reality that many of us are in. I kind of thought this would be a good topic this week because a lot of people that I'm working with and just connected to are having a really rough week through this eclipse season when we're recording this. And maybe you're finding this just when you're having a rough time and dealing with some pain, whether that's physical or emotional or mental, because there's all kinds of ways you could be feeling pain.
Mm-hmm. Right. There's all different kinds of pain, and it's all valid. You're allowed to experience it. And I'd like to start off by saying you don't have to compare your pain to other people's pain. And, one thing people do often is say, so many people have it worse than I do. And, that is true. But also don't, feel like your pain isn't worthy of your love or isn't worthy of being healed.
I think that's so powerful and a really important message to kind of start off with, because I know that I'm somebody that has been dealing with that a lot, where I've been in pain and I instantly think, well, there's people that have worse situations than me, or at least I'm lucky that, I can get a hot bath when I'm not feeling well, or this, that, or the other. And it's important to realize that it's still valid to feel through the emotions. Like, pushing them to the side isn't working through it. And many of us have the habit of pushing it to the side. And I found that one of the ways that I've worked through pain that has been most beneficial to me is to get creative with how I'm using my energy. Because sometimes, if you're in pain, or even just like mental distress, like it's hard to be active or to stay focused. And I actually have a quote that I want to share, because what happens is we start worrying about the suffering. And I'm speaking from experience, because I start worrying about what if the pain doesn't go away? What if the emotions last forever? What if the situation doesn't fade? And I realized that while I was scrolling, how when you're scrolling and the perfect quote pops up,
mm-hmm.
I was trying to doom scrolling, trying to scroll through my pain rather than creatively focus it in a positive way.
Yeah, good thing it was that came up and it was like helpful for you.
Well, the quote is, it's actually from The Alchemist. So I like that you use the alchemy of pain into creativity. And the quote says, "Tell your heart that the fear of suffering is worse than the suffering itself, and that no heart has ever suffered when it goes in search of its dreams." And I read The Alchemist a couple years ago when I was going through a really hard time, and I kind of remembered that quote, but just scrolling into it was a really powerful moment in the midst of my pain this last couple days. And it reminded me that staying creatively focused is a really powerful tool for me as a creative being. And since we've been talking about divine expression and creativity the past few weeks, and we're getting ready to start that journey with our friend BP, I thought that it would be good to kind of mention that if anyone's feeling like they're going through too hard of a time to be creative, it's actually one of the best times, especially if you're dealing with pain in your lower chakras or your heart space or anything like that, because getting creative opens up the energy flow for your whole soul to express itself.
Mm-hmm. It does, yes. I love that a lot. I think creativity is key. It's one thing I've been learning the more I talk to other people, is that creativity and spirituality are the same. And living your dreams, you are creating that into your experience.
Mm.
So being able to open up that creativity, it definitely helps with the trauma. And one thing we're doing with the divine expression experience is going through our trauma and taking the time to acknowledge it, taking the time to accept it, and then even grieving it, which is a part of the process. You know, and I continue to try and remind anybody that it is okay to grieve, and it helps you to move on. It gives you closure.
I think a lot of people are grieving on so many levels right now as we adventure through this holiday season, because many people can't see and be with the people that they are traditionally at this time, or maybe they don't necessarily have the finances or something to do what they normally do at the holiday season. So people are grieving that traditions aren't happening and things like that. And I think that it's also important to get creative with how you're celebrating this time or marking this time, because even though there's a lot of pain happening, it's a powerful time energetically and just in this time and space, even if you're listening to this in the future. But we're getting ready to go into the winter solstice and the December 21st, 2020, which is like a powerful energy day. We just went through the eclipse, which rocked my energetic world in crazy ways. When I say rocked, I mean like I hit rock bottom feels. Like I just emotionally and physically felt like a blob.
Well, I'm glad that you're feeling better. But you said the winter solstice, and I wanted to just mention next week in our episode we're going to talk about Christmas and how all that got started. But one thing interesting that I found was that the ancient Romans, the calendar that they used, they celebrated the winter solstice in celebration of Saturn. And it kind of became like their Christmas. And in their calendar, the solstice was on December 25th. And that's part of how Christmas came to be on that date. And people are saying, Jesus wasn't born on that day. So there's so many more interesting things that I'm excited to talk about next week. But, I just wanted to throw that out there. So let's get back into...
hype about Christmas. He gets really excited about it because he's got all kinds of connections to the Claus energy.
Yeah, and we'll definitely talk about that, with my last name being Claus's son. We'll talk about that in our next episode. But let's kind of throw back now into today's topic, get back into that, and how can we, what are some ways that we can work with creativity to alchemize that pain?
Well, I think one of the ways is to get creative with how we work through pain. For me, and I'm not a medical doctor, but for me, I was dealing with physical pain, and I instantly feared the suffering of having to go deal with a doctor during this time of peak COVID craziness. And that fear was kind of numbing my energy to think outside the box. And once I was able to get creative with my thought process again, I started looking for more natural remedies, and I was dealing with some swelling and inflammation. And I learned through creative process that turmeric is a good herb of sorts to help you with inflammation and swelling in the body. So I did a turmeric compress. So to me, creative thinking out of the box was super helpful. I also used oils and things like that. And I use those things too when I get creative in my studio process. So the essential oils, there's certain oils that help release different endorphins in your brain to help you get into your creative zone. So that there's just different tools that I like to use to help alchemize that pain and to kind of take my mind off of the pain or the suffering. And I know there's a lot of people that are going through other kinds of pain that aren't physical, that are more mental or emotional, like breakups, or again, the distance factor, or, loss. There's a lot of loss right now. And using those different tools can also kind of alter the mind state and put you in a different creative thinking mode to get yourself out there and use your muscles in a different way. Because if you stay focused on the suffering, then it can create more suffering. And you said earlier about how we're creating our dream. And in the Alchemist quote too, it says that a heart never suffers if it follows its dream. And here at Bring Me to Life, a lot of our dreaming comes from our creative thinking and our creative process and how we connect to our divinity and express with that creativity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one way for me physically creating healing is by, creating a delicious cup of warm green tea with some honey in it. And it's so powerful how our minds play a part in the healing process. So like you're saying, if you're just focused on your pain, if you start to fear, like there's a difference between real pain and then making yourself suffer by imagining the worst things that could happen.
Oh, I was definitely doing that. I was definitely imagining the worst, and it was so silly because I'm usually somebody who can see the brightest side of things and is decently optimistic. But when you start getting in suffering and victim mode, it's easy to go down the opposite path.
Yeah. And so first becoming aware of that, and then doing your best to create more healing for yourself with your thoughts, because like when I'm drinking that green tea, I'm not thinking about the sickness, I'm thinking about the healing. I'm providing more energy because my focus is on the healing rather than the pain. And just with our minds, we create more suffering through our thoughts than we do through any physical pain.
Right, because we start worrying about what ifs. And we do that with our creative process too. So many times I'll get into my studio and I'll start painting or I'll start creating, and I'll work on a painting for days and weeks and obsess over it, and then all of a sudden I'll stop because I'll get to a point where it's not quite finished, but I'm afraid to finish it in fear that I'll mess it up. So I start over analyzing it, where when I meditate through it and I connect with the divine and I'm like, okay, I accept that, even if I make the wrong paint stroke, it's not the wrong paint stroke. As Bob Ross would have said, we make happy accidents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We do make happy accidents. That's a great way. I love writing. So for me, writing is a powerful way. And I'd like to acknowledge, past life pain. And one way that helped me through some of my past life pain, because you might become aware of it and then start taking on like that kind of drama of that lifetime. And it becomes, painful, energetically, spiritually. And so I journaled one time from one specific thing that happened, and I just journaled like super emotionally. I was swearing, I was being like very crazy with my writing, and then after that I just felt so much better. And like I don't need to go in and read it and look at it to feel that healing, because for me, getting it out of my energy and into like a book or a journal or something like that is so alchemizing to that kind of pain for me.
In the Artist Way, when they talk about the morning pages, she actually suggests that you don't go back and look at them for a while so that you don't stop them in a way, or they don't block your creative process. So I thought that was a powerful activity, is to just write and to not have to reflect on it, because so often we'll make lists or we'll journal or we'll write something down because we need to remember it or read it again. But sometimes you just need to creatively express and not obsess over it and just release it. I've actually written letters to people and then just not given them to them just because I felt better by writing them and getting the emotions out and not so flustered in my own mind.
That's what someone says in the chat room. They said the other day, instead of lashing out and saying hurtful things, I typed it out and felt calmer. So yeah, just remember, you don't have to show it to anybody. You can type it out, feel better, and then erase it. A lot of times, like I'll scream. I'll just go scream, and Shannon's like, "What the?" what the fuck are you doing? And then I'm like, after that, I'm like, oh, I feel so much better. But then I had to, help Shannon feel calmer, because then I, triggered her.
Yeah, I get triggered when people start yelling. It's not a good thing for me. It sends me into a little bit of flashbacks. But
so that's something I have to do alone. Like, Shannon has to stay inside. I have to go outside and go somewhere, and then I can scream, or,
Some people get triggered,
we gotta find, that, especially if you're living with people and you're co-creating a space together, you gotta find ways to do those things, to heal your pain,
I've been trying to embrace it more, because I've realized that release is important. I have like a high-pitched squeal hum that I do when I need to release, so it doesn't sound angry.
It really sounds like a teapot going off.
I don't do it too often, but when I do, it is pretty high-pitched. So sometimes you just got to do that through the pain. I mean, and sometimes you got to cry it out too. I came from a background where I was younger, when I dealt with a lot of loss and everyone around me was grieving. I didn't get to cry a whole lot, because I had one of my parental figures would tell me that, that person, like the person I lost, wouldn't have wanted me to cry, or they couldn't handle me crying and I needed to toughen up. So for a long time, I grew up thinking I wasn't allowed to cry. It made me weak. And over the years of my spiritual journey, I've cried more and more. I don't know if I'm catching up with all of the energy I didn't get to release in my younger years, or if it's just I acknowledge now how powerful the movement of the tears can be.
I feel like it's you're a stronger person if you can allow yourself to be that vulnerable, because you really are being vulnerable when you're crying.
Yeah, and I've found that through my energy healing practices too. Sometimes I have people that come to me and they think they want a card reading, but I end up just talking with them for about 10 minutes, and then they spend the rest of it just crying, because I'm a safe space. And I welcome that, because I know that, sometimes having somebody witness the feelings that you're dealing with too, and just seeing how frustrated you are, is a powerful thing through the pain too. And often I will suggest afterwards that they go and create something with those frustrations. Like, how does the pain feel? How does the pain make you feel? Maybe it makes you feel like scribbling on a page. Maybe it makes you feel like cussing out your journal. Maybe it makes you feel like, building something out of rocks or sticks or something, and just getting it out. And I like to ask people too, like, what does the pain look like? Like, sometimes I see like orange squiggles and I know that it's my sacral, or sometimes I'll see like just like a purple ball or a purple rock, and I'll be like, okay, my intuition's blocked. And I try to feel into a visionary expression of what the pain looks like and wants to be expressed as. Sometimes it's ripping up something or breaking something. I think that's why I like doing mosaics for a while, was I got to break so much glass, and it released a lot of the frustration I had in that stage of my life.
I think break rooms, if they're in a safe environment as it can be, with walls and you have the protective gear on, but those can be very healing.
That was in a cute show we watched recently.
Yeah, what they did was they created some kind of art piece, and then after that they went and then they destroyed it.
Yeah, they called it the break room, and it was hilarious. If you guys need a cute, ridiculous holiday something to watch,
Tilly,
it was
Lily?
Dash and Lily
on
Netflix. It was cheesy, adorable, and it had a lot of good messages.
Yeah. Yeah, some heavy things. I was wondering if we're gonna do like a reading today.
I do have some cards here from my light deck, which I really enjoy. We did some readings the other night on our last sound ceremony of the year for the new moon. If you didn't catch it live, you can still catch the replay at bringmetolife.com/moon. And there's a general reading there, and the ending reading was pretty powerful. We got sent a gift from the heavens, which I thought was pretty neat way to end it.
Yeah, it was like it's presents. It's a presence of presents.
Yeah, I'm getting my cards out here.
Yeah, we could play the music and take a minute break. We're here real quick before we do that. And I also have some news about solar flares that happened recently. So,
well, before we do that real quick, we do have some new business with Bring Me to Life. I just want to give you guys a couple shout outs. Definitely check out some of the other podcasts we have available. I think we have a new episode of Shamanic Living recently, and Sense and Whiskey's putting out some new stuff. We're getting ready to release a new podcast. Stay tuned for Cosmic Earth Wellness podcast. It's going to be pretty cool. If you didn't check out the previous episodes of Tune In and Find the Others, there are some episodes there. And yeah, we're just really grateful to have some people expanding the network, and we got some good things coming for you guys in 2021. We would love to hear any input from you all if you want to join us in the Bring Me to Life community on Facebook and give us some feedback. Let us know what would you like to see the Bring Me to Life network bring to you all in the new year or whenever you're listening to this, and how do you alchemize your pain into creativity. So that being said, I think I shared most of the new business that I can think of. Is there anything else you want to share before we take a second break?
We're doing a live challenge on Facebook in the Facebook group, Bring Me to Life community. And for those listening live or before we do it, it's Wednesday, the 16th at 8 p.m. 2020. And so we're doing that. And then, we got some really cool stuff happening. I'm excited for the new year. We have an 8-week experience coming up, and then we have some ideas for some brand new projects that we're doing. And I think I am pretty close to finishing the first draft of my novel. So hopefully by the end of next year, I'll be looking to get it published.
Neat. Yeah, if you haven't checked out Divine Expression and Creativity yet, go check it out. There's information at bringmetolife.com for that, as well as various articles and other cool stuff to keep you awake and shining on. So we're going to take a little break here for just a moment and get your energy reading together. So if you want to take this time, meditate and visualize, set an intention for something you would like to see happen in either the near future or the upcoming year. And we'll be right back. All right. I am back with an energy message from the Sacred Light Oracle deck that I like using. It is a 3-card reading, and the first card is the channeling card. We've been talking about channeling a lot recently on the Bring Me to Life podcast, from channeling your divine creativity, from channeling messages to help you get through pain, and all kinds of channeling. This card says you have the ability to tune into different streams of consciousness to gain wise information for healing and expansion. Channeling shifts your awareness so that you can stream information from various frequencies, and it is just like tuning into a radio station. If the information doesn't agree with you, then it is time to tune into something different, and you can't expect to hear rock music on a classical music station. So with practice, you'll be able to tune in more deeply to your soul's transmissions, and you can focus part of your stream of consciousness upon the Earth's plane to experience life in new and varied ways. So if you're somebody that's looking to experience life differently, sit down, meditate for a moment, and channel, what ways you would like to enhance your life. Know that your soul loves you so much, and it is always transmitting this love and truth, even when you have forgotten it. And it wants you to acknowledge how Source sees you and imagine seeing yourself through the eyes of your soul. So that brings me to the next card here. The next card is joy. And I found this interesting that we pulled the joy card during the pain discussion, because though I very much know that we need to feel through our emotions, sometimes, like I said earlier in this podcast, it's easy to get stuck in the victim mindset or the poor me or the suffering mindset. So when I start suffering, I try to focus on joy and gratitude and how much joy I have on the days that I feel good. And this card says, if a thought does not give you joy, then search for one that does. Thank that thought for showing you where you don't feel joyful, and then reach for a more pleasing thought. You can empower yourself by choosing joyful thoughts, and you will disempower yourself by choosing sad thoughts or staying in suffering. So what will you choose today? There is almost always something to make you feel at ease in every situation, and it is up to you to find that. Try reaching for a joyous thought right now. So take a second. Just think about that. What's something that's brought you joy in the last day or so? Even if it's something little. Look around you and see if there's anything that gives you joy in your space. And turn it inward to the joy that's in your daily life. And if you can't find it outside, go within and create some sort of inner joy. It is not always the easiest thing to do. However, it is one of the most worthwhile things that you can do for your physical and mental well-being. Make sure to open your heart and allow blissful inspiration to direct your actions, and you will give without expectation, because joy is your natural state of being, and now is the time to honor it. With so much lack of joy in this current reality, it's such a powerful thing to be somebody who can find joy in the little things. So the third card is a card that we actually got in the collective reading for the new moon, during the new moon ceremony. And it's been coming up for me a lot personally and for others when I pull for them. So I thought that this card was pretty powerful. It's the Inward Revolution. And it says, you are always moving forward even when you feel like you're going backwards. Your path may seem to go up and down or inward and outward in the spiral. Remember that the spiral is a symbol of your soul's journey. It represents the clinical nature into your heart's center. And you will continually revisit aspects of your life to bring you deeper and deeper into the understanding. These difficulties and challenges can command a greater focus as they help you to build a bigger and better dream and desire. Each cycle of life is an important stepping stone that expands you into the next. Your life will only feel authentic when you come to your own conclusions, and an inward revolution will help open you up to the wisdom of your own soul. It is a path that we must take to truly know and love ourselves. From this place, we move outward and back into the world, empowered with our own soul's wisdom. You are worthy of all that you desire, no matter where you are in your current spiral. A suggested action from this reading is to create something, especially if you're feeling pain right now. Go back to what I said earlier and ask yourself, how does that pain want to be represented? And even if that is a scribble of a spiral or something, maybe it's ripping a piece of paper or something like that, writing, like Silo said, express yourself and try to figure out how to work through the feelings that you may be feeling. So that's my energy message from the Light Oracle deck.
The Light Oracle deck. I love it. Great reading. Thank you for that, Shannon. So, in terms of space news, we had a C7 solar flare on Monday, the 7th of December, and that was expected to hit Earth, but it did not hit Earth. It missed Earth, and it wait a second. No, okay. So I had two of them, and both of them happened on a Monday. This one was a 7.4 in the common factor, and it actually did hit Earth on December 10th, but nothing happened from that. No geomagnetic storms or no blackouts from that one. It's just interesting because some of these solar flares, these coronal mass ejections are starting to hit Earth now in the very beginning stages of the new solar maximum. So the other one was just that just happened on Monday, 2 days ago, was a C4 class flare, and it did not hit Earth, but the flare ended up causing a short blackout in South America. And I have a picture that I'm going to share in the Bring Me Life chat room here right now so that people can see like a picture of the blackout. It's kind of interesting. So that's at bringmetolife.com/podcast. So, we are in the beginning stages of solar maximum. We're going to continue to see the solar flares ramp up. Right now, most of them are C-class flares. We've had a few sprinkled M-class flares, but right now it's mostly a B, which is lower than a C, and then C's. We're going to start seeing medium solar flares, and then we're going to start seeing major solar flares, and those will just, I believe they're connected to our consciousness, so we'll have more conscious space to do things, especially with creative things. And, X-class flares, those are going to be really powerful. And those, the last time I remember consistent X-class solar flares was in 2011 and 2012. Very interesting. So that's what's happening with the sun right now. The solar wind speed's about 264 kilometers per second, and it looks like things are kind of cooled down right now. Not much to be expected in the next few days, but we'll see what happens. Next time I do this energy solar flare update.
Yay! Thank you, CeeLo, for the sun feedback. That's pretty crazy stuff. We also had a new moon. I think it was actually a solar eclipse. So all kinds of crazy energy going all the directions.
Yeah. Yep. I know.
Man, Cloud Atlas. That's from Cloud Atlas, guys. If you don't know it, you should watch it.
I'm going to start saying that all the time now.
Yep. Cloud Atlas. It's a crazy awesome movie, but it might take you about 12 times watching it to even understand it. But we'll talk about that in a whole nother episode. But for now, I think it's time.
Thanks for staying awake
and shining on.
For many of us, spirituality is just the quest to find essence or true meaning and to really just connect with a higher consciousness.
Connecting with your spirituality is very important in this life. By becoming mindful of all of it, you can realize where you are and if that is leading you to where you want to go.
Listen to the little simple things, because it's those little simple things that are going to shift you vibrationally in such a way that will prepare you to become very intuitively minded and ready to step forward on the next part of your path.
I hope you can feel the love that's inside you, it's inside me, that connects us.
Thanks for shining on with us.